Today we're going to discuss the recruitment strategies of iFly and iDrive from Module 2, Critical Thinking Option, Assignment Number 2. Alrighty, so we're going to talk about benefits of cross-training. So between iFly and iDrive, we're going to start cross-training our employees. So one benefit is we're going to lower costs. So we're going to have fewer employees, they're going to be more well-trained. Stability within the company. So this means if you've got one facet of the company that's doing really well, maybe one that's not doing as well, your employees are going to be able to adjust to help focus with your business needs. We're going to talk about flexibility of employees. So like I said, they're able to work shifts in either department, either area, whatever works best for them in their personal life. They're going to be more efficient because they understand both processes. If you understand both sides of a process, you're going to do the process more efficiently. So increased employee engagement. So you're giving them not one role, but two roles to own and impact your company with, which means they're going to be more engaged because they have more ownership. Then they're going to add more value overall, because if you get someone that has knowledge in two areas, they're more valuable than someone with knowledge in only one area. So the reference for all of that is Grensing Popel 2018. So now we're going to talk about some benefits of outsourcing recruiting. So within iDrive and iFly, obviously there's a high volume of recruiting, there's a high volume of turnover. So some benefits of potentially outsourcing those recruiting efforts are going to be to free up HR for other strategic activities. So if you take out recruiting, HR can focus on employee development, management development, all of those kinds of things. You're also going to get access to experts that specialize in certain areas. So when you're running a social media campaign, you're going to get access to a social media marketer. You're not going to have to do it yourself. You're also going to have the ability to reduce legal liability. So reducing legal liability through potential bias in job advertisements, bias in hiring, bias in interviewing, all of those things you can potentially reduce by utilizing subject matter experts. So references for that is going to be Smith 2018 and Miller 2015. Now we're going to talk about some drawbacks of outsourcing recruiting. So most aspects of HR are actually very intertwined, so it can be difficult to separate one aspect completely. Another potential drawback is reducing the in-person resources for employees. So if you outsource recruiting and you don't eliminate your recruiting department, you're not going to experience this drawback. But if you do, then you now have fewer employees that are able to help your other employees. So this can lead to potential increased employee complaints because of the change in services. So my outsourcing recommendations personally are going to be to outsource our recruiting efforts, outsource advertising for jobs, interviewing, onboarding, all of that. This is going to allow HR to focus on management development, training employees, employee engagement development, performance management, really build a bridge to help those cross-trained employees be more engaged and more beneficial within the company. So now we're going to talk about some external recruiting sources. So obviously if we are outsourcing recruiting, we are not going to be doing these things, but these are what our outsourced recruiting companies are going to be focused on. So social media ads on a social media campaign. So we're thinking Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, all of those things. Posting to job boards. We're talking about LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, all of those. Recruiting at career fairs. We're talking about local community career fairs, university career fairs, high school career fairs, partnering with community groups. So Iowa Workforce Development would be an example, Minnesota DEED, all of those groups that are state funded that can really help you find more employees. And then finally, increasing community engagement. So if you're going to increase your community involvement, your community engagement, you're out in the community, you're giving back to the community, you're building a name for your organization. Internally, you have employee referral programs. So we're going to develop an employee referral program that rewards our employees for referring their friends and family. Succession planning. So you should be succession planning for every vital role within the company, because if an employee leaves, you need to have a plan of what to do next. Internal job postings. Obviously, we're going to post everything internally. And then promoting and transferring. So we're going to work with internal promotions. That's going to be our key way to promote within the company, because you get someone who already knows the culture, the stability, the company functions. So limitations of this strategy overall. So there's the potential cost involved with outsourcing recruiting. So you have the cost of your social media campaigns, your job ads, your career fairs, you have your cost per hire, you have cost per onboarding. So it can be very cost heavy. The other potential limitation is a potential disconnect with newly hired employees. So if you as a company are not hiring, outsourcing, or hiring, recruiting, onboarding, all of those kinds of things, there can be a potential disconnect, but that can easily be overcome by having a consistent company culture. Otherwise, these are my references, and that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for listening.